It's Friday, September 13th, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we'll be covering today. Amazon is definitely in the news, both for an announcement that they have a hardware event coming up, but also because you could be responsible for helping to train Alexa's answers. And some great guests on the show today, including Ron Poliakine, the founder of Nanox, a company that is transforming the world of medical imaging with cold cathode X-rays. Very exciting. And he's back. Ken Young, the technology editor for Flipboard, returns this week for a brand new segment of Tech Briefs where we'll catch you up on the biggest stories in tech this week. And we've all taken advantage of ride-sharing services, but our guest Justin Ho is the CEO and co-founder of a company called RideOS. He'll discuss their software that helps facilitate all of those rides, all that and more, plus a giveaway coming up on today's Digital Trends Live. Beautiful shot of Portland, Oregon. It is Friday the 13th. It's also a full moon. Did you know that, Parker?
Ooh, spooky.
Yes.
Terrified.
Terrified. It's Parker scared, everybody. We're going to have to be careful today. Everybody be nice. It's a bit of a rough one here for Parker, as he just found out that it's Friday the 13th and a full moon. So everybody on the internet.
Very stitious.
Please, yes. Please don't try to spook him during the show. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, bringing you the trending tech topics of the day, news, interviews, headlines, discussions, and more, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on LinkedIn Live, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps. We're on a smart television app, and we're at digitaltrends.com/live. And since we're live, we can take comments wherever they come from. And I want to say thank you to Jorge. Your avocados sound amazing. I'm glad that you're getting those there in Mexico. I would also love an avocado. Please send one here. We're live. That proves it right there. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler, joined by Parker Hall. Hello, Parker.
Hey, Greg. How's it going?
Good. I don't have an avocado, but otherwise...
I wish you did. They are bankrupting our generation, though, as I was saying.
The avocado industry had it out for you all along. Well, you know what? They're just too tasty. You can't help it. All right, let's talk about some news. Let's talk about some trending tech topics. Let's talk about some things that are going on here. Amazon in the news for a couple of different reasons. Today, obviously, Apple's been dominating the news most of this week, but Amazon coming in with a little bit and saying, hey, we're going to have some announcements coming up. So the Amazon hardware side of things is that coming up on September 25th, they are going to be announcing some new things. We're expecting some new Alexa devices, some Echo devices, some Ring devices. Could be a whole lineup shift towards newer versions, ideally. Maybe some new iterations, not just small improvements. What do you think we'll get?
Yeah, so they announced a couple new products at IFA last week, an updated Fire TV Cube, an OLED Fire TV soundbar, 65-inch Toshiba Fire TV edition, and various other odds and ends. But they obviously want to refresh their entire lineup before the holidays, right? Because so many people are going to be buying Echo devices, or might be interested in a new one if they have an old one. And so that seems to be kind of the impetus for this event on September 25th. We're expecting them to announce, a wide range of updated products. I would expect this to be sort of their big update of the year, where we hear about new Alexa initiatives, new products, and they kind of just refresh their whole lineup before people start clicking that add to cart button during the holidays.
Some of the rumors I saw were a new Echo speaker with tweeters in it.
Okay.
Add that in. So some kind of a beefed up Echo device.
Yeah.
We'd have to see if that's what comes to fruition. But right now, this is something to be aware of just in the world of technology. We all know, the Apple event just happened. Samsung had theirs before. But we're in the line now for a whole bunch of hardware announcements that are coming out before the holidays. And we've got, so the Amazon one's on September 25th. I believe that Microsoft is on October 2nd or 4th. They've got October 2nd, I believe, actually. So they have a big one coming up where we might get some new service devices. Then you have Google, which will be making some announcements. Also, most likely in October. That's usually when they announce their Pixel, the new Pixel phone, and probably, I'm going to guess, some new smart home assistants as well, I would think, before the holidays. And then you have Apple back up again with computers. So, pretty much every week going forward for the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we're probably going to be getting some kind of new hardware announcements.
Yeah, totally. And all from major manufacturers. And all of this this is kind of the annual buildup before the holidays. And then post-holidays, we'll have CES, which is where everyone will announce their latest stuff for the next year that we can look forward to, like
Yeah.
during the spring, summer, and fall usually.
It's a good time for tech gadgets and hardware because we kind of go through the lull of summer where there's not a lot of huge announcements, not many anyway, and now it starts speeding up and ramping up. So over the next few weeks, expect a lot of announcements. But one other thing that Amazon also announced has to do with Alexa and the continuing training of the Home Assistant. And this is an interesting initiative. So we probably all used, I'll stop saying Alexa over and over, but that was the last one, I promise, maybe. But what we all know, we're all probably used to it when you say it and you get that answer like, I don't seem to know that. Or,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one. And it's kind of annoying, if you're using the device. I'm not going to lie, I get annoyed by it. But there are ways that they are training it to help answer some of those questions, and now you can be part of this training. And that's something I'm not sure if that's the greatest thing. No offense to you or me. No offense to everybody out there or myself. I don't know if we should be the ones answering these questions because it's opening up for trolls. So here's how it works. You right now can go to the website that they have set up, and you can sign in with your account, and you can take a look at actual questions that people have asked that they don't have answers to, and you can answer the question for them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you
So
type
like,
in
what
your
color
answer.
are the Simpsons, or like,
Right.
different questions like that, which is pretty neat. I mean, it sounded like they started this initiative with just customer service people at
Yep.
Amazon who are answering these questions, and then now they've kind of developed it to the point that they're making it public. My question, I'm sure the question that you also have, Greg, is how are they moderating this to make sure
Exactly.
that the answers are actually legitimate? I assume they have a way to make sure that you're not getting like hilarious responses to
Well,
really normal questions. But.
those are going in there. They're supposed to be aggregating it, and then people can vote on whether an answer is correct or not. So it really is fully crowdsourcing the answers. And you're taking a look right there. Everybody can sign up. You can sign up for an account. I went and did it today. I mean, I didn't answer anything, but just looking through what some of the questions are that people asked, that was actually pretty fun. Like, what color are the Simpsons?
What is the most deadliest scorpion in the world?
Yeah. I actually learned a few things on there.
What did I just find in my bathroom?
Yeah, what is this? But you can type in your answer, and you can type in anything that you want, and then in theory, if your answer gets used by one of the devices, so if that's one that they actually use, then you get a point. And it's this point system that you can build up, and in theory, I think you unlock different things depending on how many of your answers get actually used. But I like some of that idea. I think that's good. They have to figure out a way to train it, and I guess giving people the power for that is good. But this really opens up the possibility for trolls. I think they have to really keep a control on this, because if you get some Reddit campaign where it's like, okay, everybody go and answer this exact question and everybody upvote it and see what happens, I feel like somebody's going to figure out how to game this system.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I think that that said, like, Amazon does have a pretty good algorithm for getting rid of like fake comments.
They do.
So maybe they're just employing that here, and it makes sense. Like, if they're crowdsourcing it and they're using sort of votes to determine who wins.
Yeah.
I would
You
say
think that people generally aren't going to upvote the terrible ones?
I like to think that people are genuinely good, like generally good. But this is the internet, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
That's where we're at. Okay, well, this is what we're going to have to find out. I mean, I always just go back to remembering Microsoft's Twitter AI
Oh gosh.
chatbot that they had for a while that was instantly turned
Yeah.
by the internet.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
went right at that, and it started making it horrible.
they maybe should have vetted. They should vet the people who they allow to answer questions a little better.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, this is now open to the public, so you can go there right now and go check that
Go for
out.
it.
We've
Tell
got
us
an
what color
article
the
up.
Simpsons are.
Yeah, we've got an article up at digitaltrends.com. You can take a look there. Let us know what you think in the comments as we go through the show. And speaking of comments, it is now time for Read 'em and Weep. This is where we take a look at some of the comments that come through across our many different platforms, and then we address them directly to you. So we will read the comments. We'll give you our thoughts. We may cry, we may laugh, we may think about some things. There's a lot that can go on this segment. It's a Friday. It could get really serious. Like we said, Parker could get spooked. We don't know what's going to happen here. Alex, regarding this police robot could soon be pulling you over. Hold up a piece of paper with a QR code at 404 error drive not found and drive off.
That's awesome.
That's funny. I've seen this video too, and there's actually a couple of different circumstances where they're working on police robots, like some kind of robotics to actually handle that. I'm not sure which one this is. There's one where it would be a robot that's attached to the side of the car, and so when they pull you over, it extends out on this line, and then that's the
That's the
what
thing.
is interacting with it. So the police officer never gets out of the
Speaking
car.
of The Simpsons, like Chief Wiggum, like pressing some comically large button, and then
Yeah.
this robot goes out and just arrests you while he sits there like eating a donut. in his police
Another one off
car.
the streets.
Got him, boys.
Yeah. Alex, that's solid, though, because there's got to be some way to work that system.
Yeah, totally. I heard about there was a guy who got the LED signature that that traffic lights read from emergency vehicles. So, like, if you're in an emergency vehicle and you need to get through a red light, it flashes this certain LED signature at like a certain rate of hertz, and the light turns.
And it changes
And
the
this
lights?
guy figured out like what that was and built a box so that every time he was at a red light, he'd just like press this button, and all of a sudden the light would turn green. And he got away with it for like years.
Wow.
Before they finally fined him and took it away. I think they fined him like $300, and he was like, "I'm just gonna build another one. I haven't had a red light in
That's like one of
4
those
years."
urban legends.
But yeah, it's another like instance of that where someone's just smarter than the
Yeah,
machine.
figuring it out. Gaming the system. All right, Fat Joey. Regarding unique custom homes with secret passages. What a useless, uninformative waste of time. First hint of YouTube foreign-made crap by foreign clickbaiters. They always start with music, continue with music, and end with music. A lot to unravel here,
It's all
Fat
about
Joey.
the music.
All right, so the
You
music
just gotta follow the
is
music.
key. I mean, I feel like he's sending us a message here. What a useless, uninformative waste of time. I love that he took the time to write this out, too, on this thing. But there's some keys here that I'm learning about. I did not know that foreign-made crap by foreign clickbaiters starts with music, continues with music, and ends with music throughout it.
Yeah,
So that's apparently one of the
It's really
signs.
making me rethink my YouTubing.
Yeah.
Because I start with music, end with music, and continue with music often.
There's definitely something that, you need to figure out, and Fat Joey is our leader to let us know about that. Well, I thank you.
I expect to hear more.
For informing us, and this is part of what we do here at Digital Trends, is we like to, inform you of some things, but we get informed as well. So Joey's definitely put us in our place. So now we know.
Be aware.
Dang it, he figured it out. All right, David. Regarding the rise of Skywalker theory explains why Rey could go dark. Even if Rey goes dark, I'm going to go out on a limb here and predict there will be more Star Wars movies. Just saying. Yeah, that's a safe limb to go out on.
I mean,
Although-
haven't they already said they're gonna do that?
There's supposed to be 6 more already, although they're putting a pause on them for a bit.
Okay.
So they're going to be paused and I think focus on the TV
Well,
series.
yeah.
But there's not going to be any more Skywalker movies. This is the end of the Skywalker.
Oh, okay. Well.
So it's going to be something else. I don't know what
be
goes on. What goes on after that?
Walkers.
Water.
Air
Hey there,
walkers.
Water Walker. Yeah. It's the Air Runner thing.
The Water
so
Walker.
yeah.
They tried that with Jar Jar Binks. It didn't work too well.
Yeah, that's true. That didn't work out well. Yeah, we do have a whole theory up there on that.
Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, not on Jar Jar Binks, on Rey going dark. You can take a look at that at digitaltrends.com and see what Ryan and Rick, this is their claim. But read that. Let us know what you think about that in the comments. All right. Speaking of comments, we've got a whole slew of them here. All right, Chris Blair, regarding DT Live, NASA is having a naming contest for the Mars 2020 rover, Rover Face. And then reply, I really don't think the public should be invited to these things unless they're vetted by someone with at least an ounce of taste. Yeah, I mean, that is how we end up with Rover McRoverface.
They
I'm not
said
sure if that
with
was
a martini in their hand.
Yes. Should be vetted by someone with at least an ounce of taste. So yeah, that is that's I can see that. I can see some of the issues there, but also that's half the fun of it.
I'm kind of into these like stupid childish names for things. I mean, like that we spent billions and billions of dollars on.
Rover McRoverface. I mean, I'm fine with it.
What should we call it? Rover?
Rover McRoverface. Yeah, that is the thing. So you can enter that, and it's actually children, I believe, that are entering that they're specifically targeting to enter in this competition.
They're targeting children.
They're targeting. I suppose my marketing language on that's probably not the best for NASA, but yeah, that is who they're aiming. They're trying to encourage the involvement of children.
Okay.
All right, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Rover McRoverface. Yes, that is one of them though that I'm sure is going to get submitted a lot.
I'm into it.
Okay. I suggested, I think, Marsha. That's what I was going for.
Marsha.
Marsha. I just want to hear like some NASA
I
scientist
like,
saying like,
I'm the same way with animals where I like inanimate or animate objects that have
Yes.
just people names.
right, yeah, like a dog named Kevin.
It's like, what if
just
its
funny.
name was Steven?
Yes. This is my cat.
This is my rover, Steven.
Not Steve, it's Steven. All right, Clifford, it's Friday. Regarding the Safe Haven Marine Barracuda is a boat that refuses to sink. Hope they have a good supply of barf bags. The boat may not sink, but my stomach is toast.
It's true.
Yeah, I
Your
can
real
see that.
problem is internal.
Yes.
In that boat.
That is where the issue would lie. Clifford. I totally understand that. But yes, thank you. Thank you for that comment. That's one of the many videos that we post up. And we've got those on Twitter. But like I said, we're on all kinds of different platforms. So leave your comments, leave your suggestions. I want to say hi right now to Sergey from Moldova and Pranav, who is asking about the Apple TV Plus. We'll be discussing that actually later on in the show. We'll be talking about the Apple TV Plus. But one other thing we need to do right now is a giveaway. So one of the things we like to do here at Digital Trends is reward you for watching live. And I've got this box right here. I'll explain what the box is. But I'm going to tell you how you can win this. So follow closely. It's a really easy way that you can enter in this competition. But we did a review of Gears of War 5 actually last Thursday. And we've got all of that up at Digital Trends right now, where Felicia Miranda walked through the brand new game. And this is your chance to win this loot box of stuff. There's lots of stuff in here. So first off, we have a Gears of War 5 branded controller. So this is a specific controller.
It's all in such shiny packaging.
I know. I was like, should I take it out of the packaging? Does that ruin the value? I don't know. We've got that. We've got a headset. Actually, this is pretty awesome.
Like a pretty nice headset.
Yeah, Xbox One, HyperX Cloud X gaming headset. Also Gears of War 5 themed, and Gears of War 5. We've got the game. We've got the game right there. So this is all what you can win. So you win the box with all three of these things in here. Here is how you win. So you're watching live right now, right? On one of our many different platforms that we're on. All you need to do is share it on whatever social network you're on, or share it on some kind of a network. Take a screen cap of that, of you sharing it, and then just email it in. dtlive@digitaltrends.com. So it's dtlive@digitaltrends.com. So again, share the show. That way you can let other people know about it. Just screen cap that you shared it and email that in.
We're looking for compliments when you
Yes.
share it.
Yeah,
You
I'm not sure if this is a compliment here.
you could write a note about how great we're doing
Yes, that's always fun
when you
too.
share it.
Keelan making a note about the box, about how I couldn't open the box right, so I guess somebody's out of the running. But nonetheless, we do.
There's no collusion.
No collusion at all. But yeah, here's what you do. So share the show, screen cap it, email in dtlive@digitaltrends.com, and that's how you can win this. So Gears of War 5, it's really cool.
Great game. Chips Ahoy on the box. No
Chips Ahoy on the box.
inside. So
Yeah.
sorry to disappoint you.
Can't explain that part, but nonetheless, you can win the game and all of this. All right, let's continue on with some news. We have a few other trending stories we want to get to. The first one to be...
Gonna help you remove that. But
Yeah,
I wasn't
actually.
Sure. You want to just keep
No,
it?
no. I think if you can help me remove that, that might be better. I'm going to knock it over otherwise. All right, it's Friday. Let's do this. Talking about some other trending stories. Walmart in the news going after Amazon. So home delivery services are certainly something that is very big right now. A lot of companies trying to compete with Amazon on that aspect, and Walmart's one of them. They have launched a test thing called Delivery Unlimited. Delivery Unlimited, excuse me, that's the name of their service, Delivery Unlimited. And they'd been testing this out in a few cities, and now they're expanding to hundreds and hundreds more, to where this is going to be coming to somewhere near you, to where you can sign up for this service. And it's shoppers pay $98 a year or $13 a month, and you waive additional delivery fees for online orders. I'll be able to say this here in a minute. You have to spend $30 at a time, but yes, it's definitely following along with the Amazon route.
Yeah, so this is not, to be clear, this is a grocery thing. This isn't just for, I was a little bit confused at first when I was reading this article. It's not, I mean, it can be for any goods that are in a Walmart store.
Yeah.
But it's primarily aimed at like bringing you fresh groceries.
Groceries.
So hence the $30 minimum. They don't want to like come bring you, one thing of milk.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, it's significantly cheaper than the Amazon option.
Yeah.
And
because I mean, all of these companies are trying to figure out how to compete with Amazon. I mean, it's very hard to do.
Yeah,
And
and I think a niche that Walmart has is that they're a real supermarket, so they can do fresh delivery in a way that maybe Amazon isn't poised to.
Right.
In that, like,
Now, anyway.
Yeah, now. In that, like, Walmart has stores all over the place, so those
That's
can
true.
essentially act as like distribution centers for this initiative.
I mean, you can still get Whole Foods delivered.
Yeah.
But that's
not
they're not
as-
everywhere,
yeah.
and it's a little different than than like
Yeah, and a little more premium in terms
Yeah.
of pricing and all that kind of things. I mean, Walmart is Walmart. They're like the most ubiquitous store
everywhere.
in America. So,
Right.
if any company is going to be able to take on Amazon with the, the fresh produce delivery, food delivery.
Yeah.
I think that Walmart is one of them.
And I think it's a sign of what we're going to be seeing more of, and that's in particular why I thought this story, I mean, it's trending right now, but why it could have bigger implications is if Walmart's going this route, I think you're going to see other retailers following suit in trying to get that home delivery thing where we never set foot in a store again.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like where we're heading with this. And, Walmart doing it, you've got Amazon obviously number one. Target was working on something with this too. So I think we're going to see more. And I want to know what people think about this. Is this a service that you would use so that you don't have to go to the grocery store or finding different ways to get around that?
Yeah, and I mean, it makes you wonder, as we get further into autonomous vehicles and as sort of that, as ride sharing takes over a lot of commuting for people, it'll be interesting to see the way that these stores transform into food delivery services rather than places that have brick and mortar locations.
Right. Yeah, they turn into just warehouses.
Yeah, so this seems like the first step in that direction. I mean, it's going to be a very, very long time before we have crazy fleets of autonomous vehicles on the road really able to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about autonomous vehicles all the time, and the technology is developing, but I mean, we're talking like probably decades before stuff like this really starts to be implemented. But it makes sense that companies like this would be like leaping in there and trying to figure it out now because, any kind of IP that they develop, in this process is going to help them down the line.
Right, and we'll see how the industry trends with that and where everybody goes with it. But that's something that's happening right now. So if you are in the area of a Walmart, that is something you can sign up for. All right, continue on with some trending topics. And this is what people have been talking about today in the world of technology. And it has to do right now with Toyota and this ever-present push towards more and more electric vehicles. We've seen a lot of electric vehicle news just coming out recently. A lot of speed tests being broken, the speed records being broken with electric vehicles, and a lot of companies really pushing hard into it. Toyota has been in it for a long time, but now they are working on something to even make it more eco-friendly, and that is to completely line it with solar panels and have the car possibly, the goal being, where you would never have to go charge again. That's not where we're at right now.
Yeah.
But this is what they're working on, they're testing, and they're pretty serious about this.
Yeah, so if you check out the article at digitaltrends.com, you can see a photo of the car where there's actually solar panels coating the entire top of the car. There, we have it up on the screen.
Yeah.
It looks pretty sweet, actually. And right now, they said they're getting somewhere around 25 miles of additional range. They added some extra battery packs. But I mean, it's a pretty neat initiative. I think for places like Southern California or places where it's warm all the time and sunny all the time.
Yeah,
adding 25 miles of range to your commute. How long is your commute really?
Right.
That could take up a lot of the energy that you use to get to and from work.
How do you feel about the look of that, though? Would you want a car?
No, I mean, I think as an early as an early thing, it's pretty neat. I think that as we develop the ability to put panels in a little bit less conspicuous places,
right?
And maybe they can coat the outside of the car instead of like the back window. I was looking at the back window like,
right.
How do you see out the back of this car? But it's still, I mean, it's important for car companies to be developing this technology for us. Toyota's had a solar roof for a while that they were using to like help power AC in the car, I think.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an extension of,
I mean, anything where you can find ways to save energy. I mean, I think that's great. So yeah, there's the back window right there.
Yeah. Must use a camera.
But I think part of this though, as on the technology side, is just developing thinner and thinner solar panels.
That's actually the big deal here is that they were able to develop these solar panels that are, I think, a third of a millimeter thick.
Very thin. Yeah.
That they can mold into the shape of the car, which is pretty sweet.
Pretty amazing. So we'll see where that goes. But you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. The final trending story we're going to talk about right here, but we have lots of coverage coming up, has to do with SpaceX and their continuing march to send astronauts into space on one of their Dragon crew ships. And they posted this video showcasing that they've completed 700 tests of the Crew Dragon Super Draco engine. So that's the rockets there that you're seeing. Those are Super Draco. That's the Crew Dragon capsule. And this is what would actually take people up into space. I mean, it does look like something out of science fiction.
Well, and
it's pretty amazing.
Aren't these also used as an emergency evacuation thing? So like
Correct.
if the rocket's malfunctioning and they're going up, this thing can get them half a mile away in like 30 seconds.
Yep, half a mile. Well, yeah, not too long anyway. Yeah, they can get away in a half a mile from it. And They've been testing out different parachutes for it, so it can
Yeah.
go up at any height, and that's one of the main things is safety, obviously.
Yeah, so they read the
Huge.
rockets malfunctioning, they're able to launch
Like,
away.
boom, they're out, yeah, and getting
and,
away from
and
it.
they're safe. So that's pretty neat. 700 times, that's got to make the people flying in it feel a little better.
Yeah, they're looking for 2020. They're still
Okay.
targeting,
Yeah.
to send actual astronauts up to 7, I believe, in one of those capsules up to space. So
Cool.
and then bring them back. It's pretty exciting when it comes to that side of things. But you can check that out at digitaltrends.com. All right, we have lots of news coming up for you. Lots of coverage happening here at Digital Trends Live. We're broadcasting live. Dropping your comments, your questions. Don't forget to share the show, screen cap it, email
Say
that
something
in.
nice.
What's that?
Say something nice about us. Now we're
Yeah, say something nice about Parker. He's feeling a little vulnerable today. And then email in dtlive@digitaltrends.com. And that's all you need to do. Parker, thank you for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Always fun. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back, and we're going to be talking about some cutting-edge technology. So this is what's going to be going on. So we have Ron Poliakine, who is the founder of Nanox. We're going to be talking to him about the world's first cold cathode X-ray usable in real-world applications. That's a lot that I just said there. So we're going to be discussing that, and we'll get into that a little more, get some actual definition on what's going on, but really some cutting-edge stuff, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. Stick around, back here in a minute with more DT Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks for watching on whatever platform you're on. Hit that subscribe button, share the show. Great way to spread the word of this, and we enjoy having this interactivity that we get to do every day, talking about technology, and we like to talk about cutting-edge technology, and in particular in the biomedical field. We see a lot of expansion in that industry, and we're going to be talking about something right now that I'm just going to say one of the lines here is one of the most revolutionary inventions of the 21st century. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to discuss what's going on. We have joining us Ron Poliakine, the founder of Nanox. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us here. I'm really excited to talk about this. It's a complex product that we're getting into, but what I would like to do is if you could just walk us through what Nanox is and maybe what the impetus was for founding this company.
Sure, absolutely. So let's start from the what do we do? So we're basically replacing 124 years system for X-ray, which was invented by Röntgen. It was invented 124 years ago. It's working. However, it's it's based on a hot filament, so it's 2000 degrees C filament that emit electrons, and the outcome is that CT scan or medical screening is becoming very, very cumbersome and super expensive. What we are doing, the best analogy, is we are taking Edison light and moving it to LED only in the medical field. So the base core of X-ray that was invented 124 years ago, which is totally analog, is now being implemented via a chip and it's very digital, hence super low cost. Now, the benefit is that from now on, you have something that is totally portable that can be placed in any clinics, providing for the first time accessibility for medical imaging in a very reasonable price.
I mean, that's incredible. 124 years, I think, is what you said, that we've been using the same
Yeah.
technology for X-rays.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I want to get into this amazing technology that you've got here, and I want to talk about how that all works. Why did it take so long before there were any changes in that?
Well, I think even if you think about, let me explain X-ray. Okay,
Sure.
I'll take you to the X-ray. So X-ray is basically a light bulb that you hit the filament. I mean, if you take a little filament and you start to hit it up, when it's a little bit hot, it's become a light. Edison made a business out of it, right? Light bulb of Edison is basically a little filament that's getting hot and hot until it's emit lights. If you go beyond that, all the way to 2000 degrees C, then electron starts to leave the filament. And if there is an anode in the area, the collision creates X-ray. By the way, Röntgen found out this thing about exactly actually 124 years ago. He didn't know what the hell it was, so it called it X. That's why X-ray. And they put it in a little black box. And you know what? If you go to the most sophisticated CT machine today, and you enter this giant machine, you'll still see the same black box. Now, moving from analog to digital, it's not that easy because you know what, Edison light or the filament works pretty well. And to create a mechanism that emits electrons in a cold way without any heat took a lot of efforts. So many companies have tried that. It's called nanotechnology, called cathode. And we are part of those companies that tried, and we managed to do it after big collaboration between Japan, Israel, and the US, and it's working. So beyond the technology itself, you need to take it through a chip level and then put it in a system, try it on, to see that it's actually doing what your claim is doing. And we're very proud to say that today we have something that costs a fraction of the cost of CT, something that radiates a fraction of the radiation, which is not healthy for you. And we're going to come up with this system globally, not only in the US or a developing market, but most importantly in places when they've not seen any medical imaging up to to date, places like Africa, India, and other countries.
I mean, that's really incredible to be able to spread that kind of technology out. And just to give some overall context of that, how big of an issue is that worldwide as far as access to this kind of medical technology?
Well, it's we're talking about X-ray, but really, it's the issue is cancer. Everybody's afraid of cancer. It's a terrible disease, and you know what? If you'll ask any oncologist what is the best way to fight cancer, they will tell you early detection. Now, early detection can be done by medical imaging. Well, you can say, this guy Röntgen invented this 124 years ago. What's the problem? Let's populate the universe with those imaging machines and get rid of cancer. However, the reality is that 2/3 of the world today do not ever seen any medical imaging machine. And for the rest of the world, it takes sometimes weeks to get the scan. And after that, the diagnostic takes even more time. So in reality, it's not really accessible. So if you can create accessibility, just like, an ultrasound machine or a stethoscope, something like this, then you can potentially solve a huge problem, which ends up in early detection of terrible diseases like cancer.
That's amazing. I mean, that's something that's absolutely important. And if this can do that, I mean, you're right. This is an incredible invention that you have here. Well, where do you go from here? Now that you've got this, it's working. How do you get it out there to all of these places?
Well, okay, so that's a tricky one because sometimes to make a change, a barrier to a change is not that easy. And just to give you a little bit of context, today there are only 50,000 machines of CT in the world, and there are 200 million scans a year. Those scans are mainly done for people with problems. If, however, every person in the planet would get one scan of a full body scan once a year, according to WHO, you can save huge amount of money and, of course, many, many lives. Our goal, our vision is to collaborate with other partners and create what we call the 111 initiative, which is basically placing those devices everywhere and allow every person on the planet to go through one medical full body imaging every 1 year of his life. If we do that based on WHO and many other research, we can actually defeat cancer. This is where we take it.
Well, I think we can all be on the same page with that we all want cancer defeated, and this is amazing. If this can help really save that many lives, I mean, that's incredible. For people out there who are watching now who want to help you with this goal or learn more about this technology that you have, where can they go to learn more about it?
Yeah, first and foremost, they're welcome to visit our website, which is nanox.vision. In this website, we are actually explaining the technology, but also our vision. So this is this is an amazing technology, and I'm located in Israel. This is like the biblical valley, right? And technology is really great, but I think the vision is even greater. And in this website, we're trying to provide some technical information, but also share and try to get people to buy into our vision, which is very, very simple. If you can get every one person on the planet to get through a medical imaging every year of his life, you can defeat cancer. This is very simple. To do that, however, we need a coalition. And what we do, we're actually partnering with some the manufacturer of devices, but also the healthcare disruptors like Amazon, and there are many organizations that are trying to disrupt healthcare. There are everybody's talking about AI. So we are collaborating with a lot of AI engines that actually providing decision support mechanism for radiologists to see what's going, to raise a red flag. And of course, Doctors Without Borders, all kind of radiologist organization. And we're hoping to create an ecosystem that will push for this initiative to happen sooner than later.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that ambition. I mean, it's something that we can all agree with and we can all get behind, that cancer needs to go. And if that's something that's going to help out, I think go there, go to nanox.com, take a look at all this information. And Ron, thank you very much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live to share your discovery with this and all the work that you're doing. And I think everybody who's watching will probably go there to take a look at some more information. And thanks for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's incredible, talking about biomedical technology and where that can take us. We're really at the precipice of so much that's going on with that. I mean, it's happening so fast that it's hard to keep up with everything, and that's why we try to keep you up to date with everything that's going on with that, and make sure you find out about the biggest and most important stories. Let's do this. Speaking of stories, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have Matt Katz join us, who is our news editor here at Digital Trends, to talk about a couple of big stories from this past week. So we'll be doing that here in just a minute. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live, broadcasting live every day, keeping you up to date on the world of technology. And that is what we're going to be doing right now, talking about some news stories, big things happening this week. And to help us with that, we have Mr. Matt Katz joining us. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
A lot happening this week, as usual,
and news.
a lot of news. News happens, and at digitaltrends.com, we like to keep you up to date on some of the stories that are going to affect you. And we've got a couple here that are definitely have been trending all week long.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should talk about the California one, or actually, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the vaping thing that is going on. There is so much happening with it. I'm struggling to keep up with everything that's happening, and I know there's some really important issues, but there's also a lot going on. Can you help make this a little easier to understand?
All right. Top line.
There.
President Donald Trump and Health Secretary Alex Azar, U.S. Health Secretary Alex Azar, earlier this week came out and said, we are going to ban the sale of non-tobacco flavored e-cigarettes. So when we say non-tobacco flavored, we're basically saying any vape that doesn't taste like tobacco, fruit flavored vapes, mint flavored vapes, anything like that, they are going to ban them.
Okay, just ban them all together, ban the sale.
Ban the sale. This was a big surprise, especially people in the vaping community. They were expecting some regulation to come next year. They weren't expecting a full-on ban, which is going to be coming within the next maybe month and a half, 2 months, depending on the timeline. There's not a ton of details right now, but this is all coming after an outbreak almost of a strange vaping-related lung disease, which has caused at least 6 deaths, and hundreds of people have been diagnosed with it. The FDA and the CDC don't really know a ton about it right now, so this is almost a precautionary measure to stop this. The other issue is, and this is something that Trump himself said, was kids that vape. When this was announced, the health secretary came out and said, I think something like 3 million minors vape.
Wow.
Which is a lot. Significantly more than I think public health officials want to be vaping. So this, the idea is that fruit flavored vapes, anything that's kind of kiddie flavored, is appealing to kids.
Yeah.
And if we got rid of them, theoretically, that would make that appeal go away. Whether or not that's actually going to work remains to be seen, because as we've seen with alcohol, kids aren't supposed to be drinking alcohol, but they definitely do. So a ban might not entirely work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't feel like there's always been things like that, throughout the history of any kind of product where it's like, okay, we got to keep this out of the hands of kids. And it never seems like that really works. But I do totally understand if the marketing of this is like, cotton candy and whatever kinds of flavors, that you have, that something that kids would be appealing to children.
Yeah.
Certainly that'd be an issue. But right now, there's also all of that product that's out there. I mean, what happens to that product if this ban goes on?
We don't know.
Yeah.
There's no, like I said, there's not a ton of details.
Come and confiscate it, or
Yeah, we don't know. So we spoke actually to a bunch of people in the vaping community, and before this week, I didn't really know there was a vaping community, but there definitely is. When I say this, I mean vape fans, people that run vape shops, people that are invested in this, and they, as you might imagine, are freaking out. If you go to digitaltrends.com, we have a great article with the headline "We're Screwed," and that's a quote from one of these vaping advocates, a vaping influencer, if you will, and they don't really know what they're going to do, especially these vape stores that have, who knows, thousands and thousands of vape juice cartridges and vape pens and things like that. If they just can't sell them anymore, they're going to have to sit on them or go black market, which is probably not something they want to do, but might end up happening, as we've seen with, prohibition that happened.
So many things.
You've got with drugs that happens all the time. So it'll be really interesting to see how this ban is implemented, how it goes forward, if it actually happens. I mean, right now it seems like it is going to happen, but there has been a lot of pushback from vape advocates.
And that's where I look at it, how is that even possible to really do that, to implement it, like you just said? I mean, to go out there and...
It can be classified in many different ways, just like drugs are.
Yeah.
And cigarettes, are still very heavily regulated, probably not as regulated as they should be.
Sure.
But the federal government has significant powers to stop the sale of a product like that.
So just to instantly stop it. Well, I can understand why in that community, why that's a huge issue, but it's also a huge issue, the 6 cases of people dying with
At
the only
least
tie,
six
at
that we
least
know of.
6. Yeah, and so they're just getting to study that. So it's certainly a concern on that end. Although this ban would really just take away the flavored stuff. It would keep the tobacco.
Yeah, which is that's the weird one to me. I guess
Yeah.
the rationale is that these
children.
flavors appeal to kids
Yeah.
in a way that tobacco doesn't, but it still feels like, why are you keeping this tobacco
Yeah.
and not anything else? The theory behind that is it's friendlier to cigarette companies, which do still have significant lobbying power, but it's hard to say.
Okay, so a lot to unravel there, and I'm sure we'll be getting more and more information about that as the weeks go on, as the days go on, as the fallout from this proposal,
Yeah.
goes on. So we'll find out more. With that, let's talk about another trending topic from this week, and it has to do with a bill in California, and that one that could significantly affect the gig economy.
Yes, so this is a big one. California is the biggest economy in the United States. It's where many of the big tech companies and big gig economy companies are based, places like Uber and things like that. And the California legislature just passed a bill this week called Assembly Bill 5. This would, among other things, make it so that your Uber driver, your Lyft driver, anyone that is sort of considered now a contract employee of these companies would be considered a full-time employee and be eligible for things like benefits, Social Security, all sorts of things that they're not eligible for now. This throws a huge wrench in the business model of an Uber or a Lyft. This also applies to things like nail salons, strip clubs, any gig economy app that you can think of where people, pick up the app and work for a couple of hours and aren't considered a full-time employee. They would be considered a full-time employee. It's very, very big, and companies like Uber and Lyft have really pushed back hard against it. But it's all but law right now. It needs to be signed by the governor, and its chances are this is going to be signed. We haven't seen any signs that he's not going to sign it,
Yeah.
and it'll come into effect January 1st.
I mean, and like you said, that pushback from those companies. I know there's different consortiums putting in tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to fight this. There was the push for a counter bill
Yep.
to make Uber exempt. Uber coming out saying,
Uber.
oh yeah, that doesn't apply to us.
Yeah.
And Uber being the biggest gig economy employer, I would have to think. I mean, for them to say that they're exempt, I don't see how that would ever pass. muster.
Uber has taken a very interesting approach. So after this bill passed, Uber's chief legal officer came out and basically fought against it, said that their drivers are not going to be reclassified as full-time employees. He said that it doesn't apply to them because drivers, he says, are not fundamental to Uber's business model. Which, we try to stay as objective as possible here at Digital Trends, but we also try to call things as they are, and I think it is laughable to say that Uber's drivers are not key to their business model. The chief legal officer, this is like the top lawyer at the company, essentially said that Uber is a technology platform that serves many different marketplaces. And so a driver is not central to our business, and so we can still consider them a contractor. I don't think that would hold up in court.
No.
That being said, these companies have a ton of money worth of lawyers, so they are definitely going to go to court over this. They
Yeah.
all but guaranteed that they're going to go to court to fight it. But that argument is not very convincing to, I think, most people, and I'm not sure it'd be super convincing to a judge when you think about who is the number one person that you and I interact with on a daily basis when we're using a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft. It's the driver.
Yep.
You're using the app to call a driver. Without the driver, there's no point in the app. That being said, Uber has long been investing a lot of money in self-driving cars. And theoretically, Uber has never said this, but the business model would be, let's get rid of all of our drivers and just have a fleet of self-driving cars you can call, because then that way they don't have to pay their drivers.
Right. And we'll see if that's, eventually they can get there, but they're still years away from
They're
that.
nowhere
So
close.
The fallout of this is going to be huge of what happens with this, how this shakes up, how many lawsuits go on. And to follow along with that, as always, stick to digitaltrends.com. That's where we'll keep you up to date on everything that goes on with that. Matt, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Everybody's learned something. Now we know a little bit more about what's going on with that, and now I know more about the vaping community. And we are broadcasting live here at Digital Trends. We have lots of coverage coming up, and we love bringing this coverage to you in all kinds of interviews, headlines, discussions, things that we can talk about here on the show. And coming up next, we have another interview. I've got Catherine Homuth, who's the founder and CEO of SheerTex, who's going to be joining us talking about the world's first unbreakable sheer knit. We will explain that. We'll get into that, talk about that a little bit more. Drop in your comments, your questions. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live, broadcasting live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, keeping you up to date on the world of technology. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we're going to talk about some cutting-edge technology right now. And joining us to do that, we have the founder and CEO of SheerTex. We have Catherine Homuth. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I want to talk about this technology and what you've come up with, and in particular the knit, the fabric. I want to go into everything, but can we get a little bit of your backstory and what SheerTex is, just to get everybody on the same page?
Yeah, of course. So SheerTex is the world's first pair of unbreakable sheer pantyhose. So my background was actually in software, and my last business was a software business that helped people sell products online, and we were acquired by a large manufacturing company, which sent me into the world of manufacturing and connected devices. And I just loved being able to work with people that were building products. But I found that a lot of people were building sort of technology for technology's sake, as opposed to solving real problems. And what we were able to do with SheerTex was to take something that seems like a super simple problem, like a pair of pantyhose that can actually get you through the day, and use technology to build a product that is literally unbreakable in human hands. And that's what we've created with the SheerTex knit. So this is just a little sample here. It's something that we send with all of our products. But no matter how hard you possibly try, you cannot break the knit that we've developed, and we've used ballistic grade materials to actually create the product.
Okay, that's pretty incredible. You just pulled on that and you could not break it. Now I really want to try that. But talking about these ballistic grade materials, let's get into the actual tech of this and how this is created.
Yeah, so when we started into this, I started looking at lots of different materials that were on the market. And the way that fibers are measured is in denier. So it's the thickness or fineness of a material. And on the market when we started, there wasn't a material that was both as fine as you need it for pantyhose and that had the tensile strength to actually be unbreakable. I started looking into the strongest materials in the world, think Kevlars and things that are used in like bulletproof vests and climbing equipment. But even those materials, while they were super, super strong, they weren't nearly fine enough to be able to do something like pantyhose. So what we've had to do is actually take the base polymers that are used in some of these extremely high tenacity products and miniaturize them to make them fine enough for something like pantyhose. So ours is literally the finest version of the world's strongest polymer. It gets extruded specifically for our application. So there's absolutely nothing on the market like what we've created to solve this problem. And when we first started with this material, we sent it to a factory that made pantyhose. This was like 2.5 years ago. And we're like, can you just like put this on a machine and tell us what happens? And we got this super angry letter back saying that we broke all of their machines. They managed to hack like 1 foot of material off. It didn't stretch. You can't color it because it's not a dyeable material. And from there, we basically had to build our own factory. We've had to retrofit our machines. We've had to figure out how to color it, how to make it stretch, how to make it finer, to really 2 years later end up with the product that we have today.
Wow, that's breaking all of their machines. I mean, that just says something right there. So this is really, amazing material. And walking through what you were saying before, like going through all of those other kinds that you had, Kevlar, and I can't imagine Kevlar pantyhose would be too comfortable. So this is definitely really amazing, what you've come up with. So now that you have this, I got to ask, just on the business side, I mean, how do you keep the price down on that? And then also, what's the longevity then of something like this?
Yeah, for sure. So our materials are like 2 orders of magnitude more expensive than a traditional nylon. So in order to, keep our costs down, we have actually sort of lower margins than a typical pair of pantyhose. But our product also lasts dozens and dozens and dozens of times versus something that lasts 1 or 2 wears. So we charge more what you're going to pay for like a Lululemon pair of leggings. So it's $99 for a pair of pantyhose compared to, a brand that you're going to get at Nordstrom for $30, but it's only going to last you 1 or 2 wears. Ours will last you dozens of times. So it's a bit more of an investment product. And that's how we're able to actually make it work with all of our polymers, which are just much, much more expensive. The average pair of our pantyhose has about $20 to $40 worth of just fiber in it. In time, obviously, we hope to get that down, but that's really what it's taken to create the product as it is today.
I'm actually surprised it's even that low because, yeah, that's got to be very expensive, product to do to create that. So that's pretty incredible. You even have it at that price. Well, talking about this going forward, I mean, surely you probably thought about other applications for this and other ways that you can utilize this material. If it's this incredible, where do you think that you could take it from here?
Yeah, so it's really been quite interesting because not only is it super, super lightweight and super strong, but it actually has a lot of really cool applications. Like it's naturally cool to the touch. So think about putting your hand on wood versus putting your hand on metal. Ours will feel a little bit more like you're putting your hand on metal. So it's naturally cooling. It's naturally antimicrobial, so nothing can actually grow on it. It's the same reason that it's not dyeable. So it lends itself towards lots of intimates and activewear type of applications. So that's really where we see growing out the line. Imagine, the world's lightest weight activewear products, cycling equipment. All of these things are made possible using this knit. We actually just moved into a much larger factory with more equipment. You'll notice the like super dated furniture around me. We've just taken over, we're 9 days into taking over about 115,000 square feet here. And we're starting to bring it up to date. So it's been really exciting, but we see lots of potential for this knit in way more than just pantyhose.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's an incredible invention that you have and what you could do with that. But congratulations on the new warehouse. That's a lot of square footage. I'm really excited to see what you're going to do with this and where you're going to go. Congratulations, number one, just on getting this off the board and all the success.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We had to shut down not shut down our production, shut down our sales over the course of the summer because of the response we'd had. We got such a backlog of units and orders, so we shut down. We've relaunched now in this new facility, so we now have the production capacity to really grow and do new things with it.
Well, congratulations, Catherine, and so exciting. It's sheartex.com. That's where everyone can go and find out more information, and really appreciate you joining us here on Digital Trends Live. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, that is really exciting. That's an amazing material. I kind of want to see if I can break it. I know I can't, but I still want to try. All right, no, we need to get to a break. We've got Ken Young coming up from Flipboard for another edition of Tech Briefs. We'll take a quick break here. Back in a second. Don't go anywhere with Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. It is time. It's Friday, which means it's time for another edition of Tech Briefs, where every week I sit down with Flipboard's own Mr. Ken Young to bring you up to date on some of the biggest stories that have happened in the world of technology. Ken's actually been out the last couple of weeks. We have the podcasts up, though, so I want to emphasize that. You can hit subscribe to get the audio version. But Ken, back in action, here with video. Let's talk about some news.
Absolutely. And it's kind of very interesting. What we talked about in the last two episodes of our podcast is very, very relevant to what we're talking about this week. And it's all about Apple.
It is. The Apple event that happened earlier this week, huge, definitely the biggest thing probably in the industry. Not even probably, definitely the biggest thing in the industry. So we found out about some new products that Apple's going to be coming out. There's always the rumors that have to do with iPhones. It's a year-long cycle when it comes to iPhones as far as what the rumors are of what it's going to look like and what features it's going to have. And we got to finally see some more. One of the big things is even the naming system. So iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Any features in particular that stood out to you?
You know, it's really not the hardware. I mean, naturally, they're going to come out with a updated processor, the A13 processor chip that's in there. But it's they spend a lot of time on the camera. This time, there's two cameras. There's an ultra wide, and then there's a wide angle that's on these respective devices. And so this is going to be very interesting to see that they're kind of they're following suit with what Samsung and Google are doing, as well as other phone makers as well, in terms of catering towards the creators, the photographers and the videographers that want to do more with these mobile devices. And as you can see here, there's more colors on here. So I think what I've noticed, at least from the people that I follow on social media, they're ordering devices, they're ordering phones today, and the common color I see is green. For some reason, a green iPhone is all the rage this time around, and not the rose gold or anything like that. It's green. So green, I don't get it personally, but you know what? It's if that's what's going to convince you to buy an iPhone, Apple is saved for the next quarter.
That is that's an interesting take on it. I didn't realize that was such a trend.
I mean, aesthetics are everything, but I mean, getting back to what's interesting. I mean, Apple spent a lot of time on night mode on here. So these cameras going to be able to take better photos at night. There's a neural engine that's in these cameras that allow you to take. That's going to take a composite of different photos to actually create high quality images. So this is actually this is going to replace DSLR cameras, high end cameras that most professionals might lug around. Will it necessarily completely replace it? Probably not, but it's going to be great for those who want to have that they don't want to lug around their own cameras. They don't want to lug around GoPros. This is actually going to be the cool thing. What's kind of interesting, notable here is that there's an update to the front-facing camera that has a feature that's called slow motion. I mean, obviously you have slow motion capabilities on the back end camera, but what Apple wants to brand is this notion called Slowfie. Now, it's the most ridiculous name, but basically, if you are an influencer, if you're somebody that likes to be creative with the camera, with selfies, and you want to take advantage of slow motion, this is going to be the device for you. I'm not sure, again, if it's going to really catch on, but I mean, who knows, right? This is the company that came out with Animojis, and people are being creative with that as well.
I suppose. I've never used one, but but I agree. That is something that works. And Apple always, it does come out with things that catch on, not only because of their reach, but because of their inventiveness. I mean, they've come out with some really good products before. This seems to be a trend across the mobile phone industry. Just talking about the hardware side of it, we're not seeing a whole lot of really innovative designs coming out, but this software side and the cameras in particular, huge push. We saw it with Samsung. We're seeing it with Apple. I think we'll see it with the Note 10 coming out too. Continuing on with some other products that they came out with. The Apple Watch, we didn't know if we were going to get a Series 5. The Series 4 has gotten some really good reviews, at least here at Digital Trends. Our editors love it. But they came out with the Series 5. Not a lot of updates. One in particular, though, that people seem to really like is the always-on feature, to where the screen is always on. You don't have to tap it. There were some examples of being on a subway where you have to have one hand on a pole, but then you can't actually see what your notification is. So now they have the always-on aspect. The battery life is going to be better. But then on the software side, they're really making a push towards the health industry and turning this more into a more ubiquitous watch, to where you can use it for different things. And health is definitely one of them.
Absolutely. And look, the Apple Watch, I think it's a pleasant surprise to have the Series 5 being announced. As you mentioned, that it's the always on, but there's also a couple of other nice little features that are on there for those who may be interested in it. There's a compass mode on there. There's a compass app on there, and there's also international emergency calling that you can make through the watch. But you're right. What they are making a big leap forward on is in terms of the health studies that are on there. Now they started out with one that's focused on AFib, atrial fibrillation, and they claim that it's one of the largest studies that's been out there on AFib. So now they're actually they've partnered with different hospitals and medical organizations to focus on 3 different new studies. One is on health. Your heart health, heart disease. There's one on women's health. And I believe there's another one. I can't remember. I think body movement as well. It might be, but there's 3 interesting health studies that they're going to be available through their updated research app. So I mean, look, they couldn't just announce. They could have just announced these 3 studies by itself. But I think the fact that they're tying it in with the Series 5, with these new features, kind of will motivate some people to get the new watch and also participate in the study. But also, they also took time to announce that, look, their Series 3 watch, which came out about a year ago or so, is now discounted. So it's about like $200 for the watch. So that's going to incentivize more people to get the watch, and then maybe as a result also sign up to participate in these studies.
Right, getting into that ecosystem and then seeing where that goes. I think those kinds of improvements on the medical side could really actually be very beneficial. If Apple's leading the way on that, great. We'll see. I think other manufacturers will follow suit. But certainly the Apple Watch right now in the smartwatch industry is at the lead, just by all the reviews that we've been seeing. So just to further advancing that Apple Watch with the Apple Watch Series 5. A couple other things that they announced. Just Apple TV Plus pricing. We don't need to go into it too much because you've heard us talk about it a lot, but we did get the pricing. It's going to be $5. It's going to launch on November 1st, and it'll be free if you buy a new Apple device, I believe, for a year. They've got a free trial going, and it's all to get people into that ecosystem to start watching. They released another trailer for C with Jason Momoa. Not too sure if that's going to be a hit, but nonetheless, this is their push into that service side of things with Apple TV, and then also Apple Arcade. We got some news on Apple Arcade, which we knew that was going to be coming this fall. Could be a big hit for them too. Also, I believe $5. So not a bad deal.
No, it's definitely not a bad deal. But it's notable that the fact with Apple TV Plus, look, $5 per month for a subscription, and you get 1 year free by just buying an Apple device. This is very similar to almost similar to what they did with U2, which was available on every iPhone. I think that was everyone dreaded having U2 that U2 album on iTunes. But look, this is actually taking a big cut out of Netflix. And if you looked at the stock for Netflix after Apple announced their pricing, it took a hit. Now it'll probably rebound and Netflix will be fine. But $4.99 a month is one of the cheaper streaming services out there, and they have a pretty good selection, or they will hopefully have a pretty good selection. I mean, they better after the fact that they're shelling out $6 billion for original series. So this is going to be this is certainly a big bet for Apple. $4.99, and it's available on many Apple devices. But they didn't mention anything in terms of non-Apple devices. I mean, obviously you'll likely be able to access Apple TV Plus through the web, but whether or not you can do it on Amazon or through a Chromecast or anything like that, who knows? Probably not likely, knowing how Apple plays with everybody else.
Yeah.
But this is a big leap forward for Apple, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, we will. I mean, there's a lot to follow up to. You can follow up on Digital Trends and Flipboard with that. But yeah, how it all shakes out in these streaming television wars, I'm excited about all that, where it's going to be going. Check out one of our past podcasts where we just kind of ran through some of that to keep you up to date on everything. And I know we're starting to run out of time, as we always do. So to get just one more thing in here, just for something for everybody to pay attention to and keep track of what's going on in California with the bill that is being passed. It's not officially signed yet, but by the time you listen to this, it could be. And it is a bill talking about the gig economy and changing the status of employees of companies like Uber or Postmates or any kind of gig economy company from being contractors to requiring them to be actual employees, which could have monumental changes, could lead to monumental changes in that entire industry. California is huge. If it passes there, you would think it'll pass other places. But yeah, this could change up a lot of things.
Yeah, it's California AB5. It's been sent to Governor Gavin Newsom for his signature. He indicated he will sign it, but he has not signed it yet as of this press time. But you're right. This is actually going to classify drivers or those that are in the gig economy as employees. Now, naturally, you would understand that the companies don't want that to happen. I mean, they say that if that actually happens, the cost could go up up to 20% or approximately 20%. So they want to enact an alternative bill. They are actually they have already been sued. Companies like Uber have already been sued by other parties because Uber has already said, look, we're not going to reclassify our drivers, once this bill, if this bill becomes law and gets enacted next year. So they want these ride-sharing companies want to have a different bill enacted. Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash have amassed a $90 million war chest to fight this, to fight AB5.
Right.
Other companies are willing to play ball with the state, but you're right. Like, should AB5 actually become law and is enacted, other states and other markets are looking at passing similar legislation. So this could be very, very detrimental to Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, and many other many other companies in the gig economy.
Right. This is something that's going to be the fallout's going to be huge, whatever way this goes. However it is, there's going to be a fight on each side. But that's stuff you can follow up on at Digital Trends and at Flipboard. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning into this. Again, we do this show every week. Coming up, just so you know, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have lots of coverage for Microsoft, Amazon, Google, another Apple event, all kinds of hardware events coming up. So we'll keep you up to date all the time with Tech Briefs. But hit that subscribe button wherever you get podcasts. That is the best way to make sure you get notified of all of the news that happens every week. We'll keep you up to date. Ken, once again, thank you. It's good to have you back.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. And we have so much more to talk about. I know we've got a lot here going on. So stick around. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you for joining us every single weekday here, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. We're going to have a little bit of all of that right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Joining us, we have Justin Hose, the CEO and co-founder of RideOS. Justin, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We all are used to taking Ubers, Lyfts, ride shares. These kinds of services are something I think pretty much everybody's experienced. But I think a lot of people overlook the fact that it takes a lot to make that happen. And RideOS seems to be at the forefront of allowing different companies to utilize that. And I wanted to see if you could just actually walk us through what a little bit of the backstory of RideOS and what it actually is to help everybody understand.
Yeah, sure. So RideOS is a company that's building software to efficiently move people and things throughout the world. About 2 years ago, this started with a dream that one day in the world we could see mixed fleets of millions of self-driving vehicles and human-driven vehicles. And we noticed that there were many companies, Uber's autonomous vehicle division, Cruise, Argo, that were all building the core self-driving vehicle technology. So we started calling a lot of these companies and asking them, hey, how are you going to bring these fleets to market? How are they going to coordinate with each other? What are some problems that you see in the future that you're not solving today? And what we noticed was that most of these autonomous vehicle companies wanted to eventually operate an on-demand ride-hailing service powered by autonomous vehicles or put these vehicles onto existing transportation network companies. And so we started building the software to do that. And that culminated in the launch of the Ride Hail platform, which we announced just a few weeks ago, which offers different APIs and apps that easily allow AVs and OEMs and transportation network companies to start and launch and manage their own autonomous vehicle ride-hailing networks.
I mean, that's pretty incredible. That helps just to democratize and increase the competition, I would think, in that industry in general, which is good for everyone, but also the way that it's communicating. Because like you said, we're building this whole system right now. We have all of these cars that are out there, but this push towards autonomy is going to be huge, and we need systems that work for all of that. So can you walk through a little bit of the technical side of how you can make this happen?
Yeah, sure. So with the launch of the Ride Hail platform, we offer 4 different points of integration for companies that are starting their own ride-hailing networks or companies that have existing ride-hailing networks that want to help their fleets become more efficient to integrate in. One is our rider apps and driver apps. And so these are actually open source. It's the first of its kind. And let's say there's an autonomous vehicle company that wants to start offering an employee ride-hailing service. Well, they can get that up and running very, very quickly, taking advantage of the 2 years and thousands of hours that we've invested to making this technology seamless. For companies that have already built their own apps, we also have a Ride Hail API. The Ride Hail API helps to manage the trip state, where the vehicles are, what's the status, and also helps to efficiently dispatch riders and drivers or riders in autonomous vehicles. For companies that have already built their dispatch and already have apps and want to start offering pooling or some of these advanced type of dispatch optimizations, we also have a Fleet Planner API, and that helps to build static and dynamic plans for different types of fleets out there. And at the core of what we do, which is the last layer of integration, we have a routing API. And what's different about the routing engine that we've carefully built over the last few years is that it supports mixed fleets of self-driving vehicles and human-driven vehicles. So let's say that there's a self-driving vehicle in San Francisco that can't handle unprotected turns or can't handle construction zones on a lane level basis. We can give that self-driving vehicle routes that ensure it does not do those unprotected turns. And we believe that this capability will help these vehicles come to market in a safer way.
Wow, so it's really, it could help speed up this entire process of autonomous vehicles with technology like this. It sounds like you've thought of every aspect of that business with those 4 different ones that you brought up, and then talking about applying it to these other aspects. Where do you see this going in, say, like the next 5 years? How do you foresee the ride-sharing industry to be in shape at that point?
Yeah, so it depends on the region, but broadly in the U.S. and Europe, we would foresee there to be, continued growth from companies like Uber and Lyft, really the pioneers in the field. But at the same time, we also see new entrants that are coming. Waymo is currently operating an autonomous vehicle ride-hailing service out of Phoenix, and GM Cruise has also announced plans publicly to start operating their service. So we see the introduction of new entrants into the field with ride-hailing networks that are powered by autonomous vehicles.
And certainly your platform would make that a lot easier for companies to get a jump start into that rather than having to develop and create all of that platform on their own. They can go to you and utilize that. And then I think that's great for everybody. Well, for the service in general, how can companies take advantage? So say there's somebody out there who, like you use that example of a company wanting to do some kind of a rideshare program within themselves. What do they do? What are the steps to get involved with your company?
Well, there's a few different options, but the great thing is that with our RideHail platform launch, developers can come onto rideos.ai today and start accessing all of the APIs that we've built, all the layers that we've built over the last few years. So they can get started even just by logging onto our website and creating an account and starting to test our services. We also have a contact at rideos.ai form for companies that are looking for more customized type of needs or looking for different geographical areas or features that we might not necessarily have.
Very cool. Well, Justin, congratulations on all the success. And clearly you've built something pretty amazing here. I'm excited to see what this does for the industry and how many different people take advantage of it. And as we see more and more of this kind of technology proliferate, what we get to see when it all comes out. Like, what are people going to do with it? That's really a really exciting aspect of it. And I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live, too, to share your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really a team effort over here. And with the platform launch, we've already had expected types of outcomes which are autonomous vehicle companies reaching out that want to launch a ride-hailing service. But one thing that we've also realized is next generation transport isn't just autonomous vehicles, depending on the geography. So there's been teams in different types of markets with underserved transportation needs that are also taking advantage of our dispatch and route optimization technology. And it's been really a pleasure.
Well, what a fun industry to be in, and what a fun time to be in with your company and seeing where it's going to go. Justin, thank you for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you so much.
All right, so they are at the forefront of this, all of this ride sharing and autonomous vehicles and where this is all going to go and how we see this industry grow. That RideOS, it sounds like they are right there building something along with that. So if you want to start a ride sharing company, maybe that's something you can try out. All right, I know we need to get to a break because we have more coming up. We have Between the Streams, Mr. Ryan Juanita, he's back. We're going to talk about some movies and entertainment, bring you up to date on a couple of big stories in that. Drop in your comments and questions. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. It is Friday, which means it's time for some Between the Streams, where we keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of movies and entertainment and talk about a couple of big stories. To do so, though, to start off, I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And we have, once again, some Marvel news. to start off with here.
Yes.
The impending Disney Plus service with all of their programs that are going to be coming out. There's a million of them. You can check them all out at Digital Trends. We've got write-ups on everything. But in particular, we're going to talk about one of them, and that is Hawkeye. Hawkeye getting his own standalone show.
And we need to say that this is kind of brilliant from Disney right here, because Hawkeye doesn't come out until 2021. I mean, we may all be dead by then, but we're talking about
Very upbeat edition of Between the Streams.
I kid. No, but the news keeps coming out of all these different shows, and a lot of them aren't coming for a very long time, but everybody's very interested, very excited. We're only probably going to get a couple of new series as Disney Plus launches, but we'll be talking about a dozen of them.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's really interesting how
they've got it lined up, like you said, for years.
They know exactly what they're doing when it comes to controlling the news.
Well, Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner, you know, he's going to star in it. We know that, and we already knew that. And there's actually a video that Jeremy Renner posted. By the way, Jeremy Renner's a weird dude. If you fall down that hole, he's got his own store on Amazon.
Yeah, and he sings pop music, really cheesy pop music.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. But Jeremy Renner, anyway, sharing this from Comic-Con and showcasing what's going to be going on there. Now, the casting side, we knew that this Hawkeye series would involve probably the eventual passing of the torch to another Hawkeye, which does happen in the comics, and it's usually to a young woman who ends up being Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop,
yes.
thank you.
And she is in the Young Avengers series.
So that could be a whole spin-off of its own.
Yeah, it could be a movie series.
And the rumor now is the casting rumor of who it could be. And I know you are a fan of this person.
And you are not.
And that's true. Haley Steinfeld.
It's a Steinaissance.
It is not a Steinaissance. We are not using that term. That is not a term that will be stricken from the record. But Haley Steinfeld is pretty big right now. She is in a lot of. She's fine.
She's very good, actually.
She's all right.
You just have a problem with her.
She's whatever. But anyway. Haley Steinfeld is now rumored to be cast as this role of Kate Bishop, which could be a huge role.
I think it's a huge role. I think it's a great choice. I think that, again, she's got the star power to make this a movie if they need to do it. She does. She was in Bumblebee. She carried that movie by herself. She's a pretty big deal, and I'm sorry that you don't understand that.
You're ever not talking about Steinfeld, but all right.
Also, it should be remembered that she voices Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse.
This is true.
Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, that's also going to be a big deal because they're making another movie of that. They're probably going to spin that off to a Spider-Gwen series. So,
So she's heavily involved in the Marvel universe.
She's getting in there. Yeah, well, Sony universe, Sony Marvel. Yeah, you know how it goes.
Well, all of that.
Yeah.
Well, that is a big casting. So if that's who it's going to be, this could be a pretty huge show. I will admit that. So that's for the Hawkeye standalone series. And again, that's like Ryan said, 2021.
Late 2021.
Late 2021
so
before we even see that. But still, that's how invested Disney is with these new shows that are going to be on Disney Plus. I mean, they are putting some real money behind it, and regardless, I'm going to watch it. So it's definitely, you got my money on it. I'm definitely going to watch this.
Disney has enough. If they never made some shows, you'd probably still want it because of the movies and everything else that they've got on their streaming service, which is a great transition to talk about Apple TV Plus and why they're really behind the target here. They're kind of they're way behind everybody else in streaming. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with your other guest, Ken Jeong, and say that Apple TV Plus is it's going to be sort of a strange thing here, and they're going to have a hard time getting traction in the very, very competitive streaming nexus, and I'll tell you a few reasons why.
Okay.
Let's talk about we can just basically go by the numbers. That's the bottom line. Now, it's coming out November 1st. It is coming out priced at $5. That's awesome.
Yes.
It's a 7-day free trial. Also, if you buy a new product, I don't know if he mentioned that, but if you buy all kinds of different new products, iPhone, iPad, Apple TV, after September 10th, you will get it free for a year.
Yeah.
That's great. And it also means that Apple may or may not be able to count virtually everyone who buys a new Apple device as an Apple TV Plus subscriber.
Well, that's exactly it. Their numbers are going to be huge because they already have so many devices out.
And that's going to look good, and that might even push the stock up and all of those good things. But here's the problem. Okay?
It's like that U2 album. Everybody got that.
Yeah. We saw how well that worked out. The problem is that Apple is going to launch with about 10 series. And that's all. Okay, we've been talking about this for a while, but when you see it in the light of day, it really strikes you. Now, even if it has those 10 series, which it probably will have less, some of those are adult series and dramas, but a lot of them are kid series too.
Yeah.
There's like a Snoopy thing happening. So you're really going to get about 5 or 6 marquee drama series / comedy series, and those include some interesting ones. There's C, which stars Jason Momoa.
Yes.
And that is about people that are blind because of something that happened, and it's the future, and somehow they're building bridges and shooting arrows at each other.
But then it's those that see that are the strange ones.
That's true. And yeah, the premise is that some babies come and they can see, and everybody freaks out. I mean, it's weird, but you know, it looks like a big blockbuster series.
It does.
The production value alone looks amazing, and they spent a ton of money per episode. There's also the morning show. This has a ton of star power to it. There's Steve Carell, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston. You can't imagine those 3 people in one TV show. That's a lot of star power, right? But here's the thing. It's gonna get old real damn quick. Because frankly, that's not a year worth of content. Now let's look at, so the Financial Times did say that they were originally spending $1 billion. Now they're spending $6 billion, as Ken mentioned. And that's a fair amount, but Netflix spent $15 billion last year, and they expect to spend that much next year.
But don't you think that Apple's just ramping up?
They are ramping up, but here's the thing. They needed to do it 5 years ago, and they needed to spend 5 times as much money.
But they're Apple.
Right, but here's the thing, okay? Netflix has...
That's my only argument, but they're...
As Quartz reports, Netflix had 1,500 hours of new original content in 2018. They said you have to watch for 4 hours every day of 2018 to see it all. That's on top of thousands of hours of licensed TV shows and thousands of movies. And the same goes for HBO, Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus, and HBO Max, which is the new Warner thing coming out. All of these are massive studios with massive amounts of licensed content that they can shove in your face on top of their original content. And they don't have to spend like Apple to back up that catalog. There's just no way that Apple can compete in this market unless it buys a studio.
Well, unless though they come out with really premium programs. If maybe they're ramping up to where, because I know they want to win
Greg,
Oscars.
They can come out with premium programs, but you're going to be done watching them in about a month.
Yeah, but at $5, I mean, if they get their own.
But what are you going to do for that next 11 months?
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
You're going to watch Netflix. You're going to watch Disney Plus. You're going to watch HBO.
Well, I think what they really want, they just want to win an award. I mean, that's what all these services do.
And
Apple wants to have an Apple production
and people will have
up
it for
on stage
free,
for the Oscars.
But I just don't see it as a compelling competitor in this market.
Well, that is the Apple TV Plus launch. So again, $5, November 1st, buy an Apple device, and you'll be able to get it for free. Let us know what you think about that. The last thing that we have here is this. It's talking about the Game of Thrones. And we already know there's one Game of Thrones prequel that's filming right now or in production with Naomi Watts. That's going to be set thousands and thousands of years before the series that we all just watched. Now, there is rumor that we already knew that there were going to be some other spinoffs.
Yeah,
now the rumor
5 they were pitching.
Yeah. Now the rumor is that we are going into production. They are going into production for a Targaryen-themed Game of Thrones prequel set to take place 300 years before Game of Thrones that we just watched, which honestly, this would just mean dragons, fire, blood.
I like dragons and
killing.
fire.
I mean, that's it. It's like it's Game of Thrones on steroids. And that's, I feel like this is what we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for this.
I'm all for it too. I was a little down because in our morning meeting, Matt Katz said he read the book that this is going to be based on, and he contends that it's the most boring book that George R.R. Martin has written.
Really? How can it be boring? That's all they do. All these people do is like kill each other.
They can also take all sorts of liberties. Yeah, I mean a dragon
and
world
other stuff, but
where there's the Targaryens everywhere in a dragon world. I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm on board with this. Yeah, I will definitely watch this. Yeah, I will do that. All right, well, this is Between the Streams. One quick thing, though, that we need to do here on the show is I just received word we need to issue a retraction, and I just want to issue an apology right now. I was a little hard on Haley Steinfeld earlier, and I've taken some time.
She almost won an Oscar when she was 13.
You know, and I really reflected on that during these last 10 minutes, and I just want to say, Haley, I apologize if you'd like to join us here on Digital Trends Live.
Steinaissance.
You know, I'm never going to say Steinaissance, but I will admit that, you know, you are a talented actress, and you're welcome here on Digital Trends Live.
That's true.
I apologize for my behavior earlier. It was out of line. I was just upset. That's it. All right, let's continue. That's it for today. I think that's all we have for Between the Streams.
I am going to yell about Apple TV some more. No,
Ryan, crunch the numbers.
I'm done. I've crunched the numbers.
All right, let's do this. We need to wrap up this show, and let's talk about what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Let's go all the way back to an hour and a half ago or so when Parker Hall was in here, and we talked about some of the trending stories in news. Amazon going to be having a hardware event. You can help train Alexa. You can read about that at digitaltrends.com. Also joining us today, we had Ron Poliakine, who is from Nanix, and talking about their incredible new X-ray system that could be revolutionary. As they said, one of the most revolutionary inventions of the 21st century. Bold claim, you might be right. We also had Matt Katz in here bringing us up to date on some news. We had Catherine Homuth talking about ShearTex, that world's first unbreakable shear knit, and what that could mean. Ken Young from Tech Briefs. Hit subscribe to that podcast wherever you get podcasts. Justin Ho from Ride OS, CEO and co-founder of that company, a company that's building the software platforms for all of these ride-hailing services. And Mr. Ryan Lanier from Between the Streams. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. That way you can join us every single time that we go live here with Digital Trends. We do appreciate it. It's always fun. We always learn something. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend. We'll be back next week with more Digital Trends Live. That's true.